Some of you thought I forgot about this thing, and well, I didn't. It's been here the whole time. Hasn't been touched until today. Alright, so to jack this bad boy up, we just take a piece of wood, put it kind of right in the middle of that cage there, and that's a nice strong support for lifting the entire thing. We're going to set it on jack stands so we can get the wheels off. One thing that's fun about the Jaguar is that you have these little like pin things where your jacking point is supposed to go. So like your traditional jack stand, it's not really gonna get along too well with that thing. So what I did was I went to a sporting goods store, bought the cheapest hockey pucks I could find, and then you just kind of shove it up in there. And then you've got yourself a far more reliable jacking point. I'll show what this looks like when I lower the car. So everyone knows that this car is really well known for its V12 engine, but the second best thing it's known for is this independent rear suspension. When this car was designed in the 70s, most cars used just a standard solid axle for the rear suspension. But this thing, look, you've got two shock absorbers per side, or two struts, I guess. And you got that big, giant bar right here, and then you got a track bar attaching kind of back there. And that is how the rear suspension of the XJ-S works. The next coolest thing about it is it should come out pretty easily. I mean, you see the way it's mounted is you've got this right here. There's another one on the other side. You can see the bolt right there. So in theory, it's just a few bolts to drop this entire assembly. And I'm lucky right now because, you know, I've got the jack all the way off of this thing. So really I should have it on the whole time I'm working on it. And that's because these are just rubber bushings right here. These can fail and the whole freaking thing will just fall out of the car. You don't want that. So I guess in addition to these bolts, you have your speed sensor on your differential, which I'll be maintaining. And then you've got flexible brake hoses for the brakes, which are inboard. Yeah. So that's why we're doing this in the first place, actually, is we've got these calipers and these rotors, and well, I believe they are original because no one wants to pay to have this entire thing dropped just so you can replace your brake rotors, which is what we have to do, unfortunately, with this thing. It's just kind of what you get for having a car like this, though. Good thing I got this for free. Nice leaky strut. I don't know if I showed it before, but when I push down on the rear bumper on this car, it is bouncy. So very likely that all four of these struts are original and they all need to be replaced as well. Looking at these springs, well, maybe it's time to replace these springs too. I don't know, or at least repaint them. At least they let you replace the pads easily. You can get to the pads real easily right there, so I'll give them that. I don't know, folks, what do you think? Roadworthy? With all these cracks? Think I should drive it? Yeah, it looks like right there. Take thems out. Oh, we got a little bump stop. It's actually in good shape too. Cool. That's cute. So yeah, bolt, 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 bolt. Some on the other side too. And then it'll all come out. Better view of that rotor too. I don't know. Should we run it? Should I drive it? Got fresh bushings for this thing too. That looks pretty torn up. Well, it is the next, well, I think it's 2 weekends later actually. Just working down here. Like freaking everything with this car, it's nuts and bolts. So you don't just pull a screw out. Look, kind of like this, you know, like it'd be nice if they had like threaded inserts, which they, you know, I think they could have done, you know, if they had just, you know, welded a nut to this mount, but they did not. And, well, it's a pain in the ass since they didn't do that. So, anyways, you just gotta stick your 9/16 spanner up in there, get on the nut, and this little guy's been enough to break them loose so far. I took a pick and kind of cleaned up the bolt heads because I think this is the first time this has happened on this car. There's undercoating left over. I still need to disconnect the speed sensor. You might be able to see it in there. That little coily thing. And then I gotta get the brakes undone too. But yeah, the ABS sensors on both sides, very easy. Just one screw. Okay, so we are under the car. Radius arms out. I think the bolt's still on that one, but I'll get it. For the parking brake, you got two arms here. Your cable grabs both of them. This one, you just kind of pull the cable and slide it out of that end. And then this one, the cable wants to be inside of there. You just push it out like that. That's how it comes out. And then the brake line, I literally just cut the flex line because I didn't feel comfortable dinking with the rusty old hard lines under here with kind of a tight space. I will address those later when I have more room because I don't want it to damage the hard lines. And the flex line is original. It needs to be replaced anyways. So if this is if you're replacing your flex line, you might as well just cut it. Fun note on the radius arm. Listen, I need a new bushing there. This one would not come out. That one, the bushing was already totally done for, so it just kind of fell out. This one though, it was in there. And you know, you can see I did plenty of hammering right here. Lots of scratched up undercoating from pry bar. But what I eventually did was I took my cutting wheel, you know, that guy right there, and I cut kind of a slit going straight across like this. And what that allowed me to do was make this opening big enough so that I could get my big pry bar inside of there and have it be right there. And then, you know, I've got the big pry bar kind of inside of the bushing part. And I take the big hammer and I just swing it so I can kind of pry this open, you know, and then it can let go of the stuff right there. And actually now I'm noticing, you know, my bushing is still on there. Actually, that's what the car is, and you can see over there the actual inside of the bushing is still there. So I will need to take care of that later, but for now, the only thing left is a few bolts right here. And then I'd never figured out how to disconnect the speed sensor. It looks like you gotta get a spanner in there. I don't feel like doing that. I'm just gonna, it looks like there's a lot of cable there. I'm just gonna lower the thing until I can see it better. And then maybe I'll be able to get it out pretty easily that way. So that means it's time, folks. Here it goes. Well, that's actually the lowest the jack goes, so looks like I can't get it out unless I slide it out the side. Might work. But yeah, like I hoped for. Now I can get to this speed sensor really easily. Brief update. It's very nice outside today. It is legitimately warm weather. So I did not take it off of the jack. It fell off of the jack, so here it sits. And this is my workspace with the wall and the car right here. I got the pads out. It's pretty simple. This is a It's like an ATE style pad, like, you know, you've got your 2 pins right here, and they were sitting in here like this. So like this is why you can change pads when it's in the car. And then you got 2 pins there and there, you just kind of tap them out. However, it can get difficult if the cotter pin breaks inside of the pin, then you have to really force the pin out, and that can get pretty nasty. I don't know if I mentioned I could not turn any of this yesterday, but now I can turn it pretty easily because, well, the calipers were that locked up and they would not let go of the rotors. So that's why I'm able to turn this now. So definitely a good thing I'm doing brand new calipers. I'm not messing with a rebuild. I'm just not good at stuff like that. So I've got right here, there's remanufactured one, then behind that is one for the other side. 7/16 line wrench was critical for getting this off. Now I just need to find a way to get this one loose and that one loose. I want to do it when it's on the car because I've got all this space, but it's kind of difficult to get to them because, well, those are in the way. So yeah, once the calipers are off, I can probably take care of the rotors. I'm a little scared because if you look in here, it's very rusty crusty on the bolts that I think are for the rotors. So other than that, shocks, trailing arms, and that's about all I'm gonna do here. I was gonna, you know, try to clean it, but you know what? I just want it to run and drive. This is not a bolt by bolt restoration. This is very much so the epitome of a driveway shade tree mechanic build, you know, and I'm okay with that. I forgot to mention that up here used to be the parking brake. There's one of these things for each side. You've got 2 bolts up here. You just pull those out. They're very long. They're kind of like pins because they go into here and they thread into, I think, the caliper. Yeah, it looks like threaded. And then, yeah, you just pull it out through this hole here. Not too bad. What is bad, though, is this line here is destroyed on both sides. This one came out, the inside fitting came out on both sides, but on the outside it was just too rusty, and I'm gonna need to either buy new or fabricate new of those. So that's a bummer, but it's to be expected with an East Coast vehicle like this. I'm just glad that this thing came out pretty okay. Well, okay, so it's this way. This one came apart, no problem, and then these all came out. I think I'm calling it a day today. I'm pretty happy with my progress, I guess. Got the calipers out. Those were 2 5/8 inch bolts right there. You can get them out with a spanner. It helps if you go in from underneath to get this one in particular, and a lot of swinging with a big hammer. Next I started working on removing these shocks, and when I went to go remove these bolts I realized, oh yeah, I'm sitting on the bottom of that hub there, and that's why I can't get those bolts out. So I need to get this thing back on the jack so I can remove the shocks, and that's going to be a chore, but I think I've got an idea of how I'm going to do that. Still nervous about these. Gonna have to get those. My plan is to remove the shocks, and then I can get at those with an impact, because that won't be in the way of the impact tool, and an 11/16 socket fits right on that nut there. But also just good, happy overall with the condition of this thing too. I mean, you know, we've got the bushings to replace. That's going to be a pain in the butt, but all of the serious mechanical bits, like this thing is dead quiet. It turns really nicely. Looks like it's limited slip too, given how everything is turning the way it is. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, till the next day. I gotta clean up my mess here. All right, folks, big day. It's been 2 weeks or so, and I get to do this today. I have been absolutely dreading this. I do not want to do this at all. but I have to because these shocks are absolutely gone. There is nothing left. I will point out though, you know it's not there? The V12, it's gone. Somebody took the V12 away. They also took the wiring harness for the Lucas computer and the Morelli computer. They took the Morelli computer itself. I traded with a different Lucas computer. And also part of the trade, on top of some cash, was 3 broken stereos that I'll show in a future video. So the goal for tonight is to get these things out of here because I can't put the new ones on yet. I need to work on these springs. I want to repaint these so they're, you know, you don't want that bare metal exposed. You want to have them at least a little bit protected. And then if I'm feeling up to it, I'll try to get the old bushings out of the radius arms because those need to come out for sure. Oh, and I've made another executive decision. See, I've got these brand new rotors for the back here, and I was gonna put them on, but then I tried removing one of these nuts here and it wouldn't come off. So then I was like, okay, these rotors don't look terrible. And then I, did one of these numbers. I rotated it, looked for runout, saw no runout, and then I measured the thickness of these rotors versus the new one. And believe it or not, these original rotors, well, supposedly original, maybe they're not because 73,000 miles, these are thicker than those. So I'm gonna clean these up and send it. Yeah, that's right. I've got it right here, and that's what I'm gonna do because look at this mess. I need this thing mobile. This stuff is in here because I have nowhere else to put it. If I keep this thing and I want to go back and paint this, I'll do that. It's not that hard to get this out. Relatively easy to get this out. So that's what's about to happen. All right. Let's get some springs out with the impact here. So here's how this works. Pretend you've got your spring right here. This is what you're going for up here. So your spring is sitting where my thumb is, right? The way this works is you've got the cup and then 2 little intermediate pieces. So I'll kind of lower down here. And what's going on is you want to get these intermediate pieces out because what they're doing is they're butting up against this snap ring right here. And then it allows this thing to come out. So that's all you do. You're trying to get this low enough to where you've got enough clearance to get these guys to come out. And what's happening, I'm experiencing at least in here up in the East Coast, is these like to rust to the shock. So you gotta come in this way with your flathead and a hammer, just kind of tap right there so you can get the thing unstuck, and then it'll come off. And then what's this shock look like? Yet again, oh, this one's actually rebounding now. It wasn't doing that before, but you can see it doesn't want to do it all the way. So, these are old. These are bad. The fact that I can put this down this easily is really something. So, all right, 2 more. We can do it. And a quick pro tip, have your spring compressors, the nut side on this end instead of up there, because that's where you gotta do stuff. Better if these are out of the way. technically I think you're not supposed to use an impact, but you really gonna sit there with a wrench? No, you're not. So now that we got these off, the plan here is to take care of this nasty rust stuff. Gonna get all the paint off first. Get it off with that stuff. Put in this little bin here because it's, you know, just the right size to hold the spring. We'll just kind of do that. Then once the paint is off, hit it with the metal prep. That'll take care of the rust. And then I think I'll just coat these in POR 15, let them dry, and go from there. Alright, just dunked them in there. It's been like, I don't know, 5 minutes. You can see some darkness, some little streaks in the white stuff there. And even in here you can see where it started to come off. I don't even know if this is proper, but we'll see what happens. Okay, this may not look like much, but there is more progress being made here. The paint is coming off. I have to mechanically remove quite a bit of it. Really should have taken these to a professional, still might do that. Really what I should have done was bought new. They had these on S&G Barrett for like, what, $26 each a while back. They're out of stock right now, but really wish I had just bought new ones instead of dealing with all this with the issues they had. But here we are. Speaking of S&G Barrett, they have a part. So you remember I broke these things off when I was removing them from the original calipers. The original calipers have been returned to Rock Auto for the core deposit, and now we've got the new ones on here. We've got one from Ray Bestis and one from A1 Cardon. What's really fun about getting the calipers in is the lower bolt down here. Real pain to get threaded and real pain to get to with the wrench. The only thing you can use to get to these is your classic 5/8 wrench, and you gotta go from underneath like this so you can get your head on the bolt and go at it that way. That's the only way you're gonna get that on. But what I want to talk about is this part right here. This is from S&G Barrett. You can probably read that part number, and these were like 10 bucks each on S&G Barrett. Like, that's awesome. Why would you do it any other way? You want to make this yourself? That'd be a pain. Spend the 10 bucks. Fits right on. Brand new. Perfect. Maybe you can see it better in the light looking from this direction. I took the wire brush right here to the rotors, and it was kind of annoying, but they are looking much nicer. They are in good shape still, so I'm going to run them because I can't get those bolts off, and I don't want to deal with it because I'm dealing with enough stuff as it is. So yeah, we'll have to get this thing slid back up and get a fresh hose clamp on there. Right? Yeah, maybe this one can be reused next. Yeah, I'll just retighten that. Also, got new mounts installed. It's kind of funny. The original ones looked pretty okay, and I couldn't quite tell that. I couldn't quite tell them apart in some ways because of all the missing paint from the shipping job. Oh yeah, and then I got the Plasti-Lube brake grease on the brake pads. The brake pads are Centric C-Tex metallic. They're over there. They should be just fine. I don't know if I have these pins in the correct orientation. I'll have to go back at it and look at that. Let me tell you all about getting this parking brake back in the car. Total pain in the butt. I still need to get these guys bent back so this thing doesn't back out. But, you know, I've got the new pads in. Probably can't see that too well, but they're in there. But you can definitely see them well right here on this one that I haven't put in yet. There's a little fork piece, looks like this, and one end of the fork goes into this hole, the other end goes into that hole. And getting this in is difficult. I finally watched a video by the channel JagMods, and it showed me that you want to just get these guys in here first and have the fork kind of not in the pins just yet, and then start to tighten these down. And as you're tightening them down, you'll be able to get these forks in. Don't try to install it with each fork in each pin. You're gonna have trouble. And then you got this guy. This is your big old adjustment screw. You'll need to take this out to get it in, because it'll be easier. And then once it's in, you just kind of turn this. You can stick a little tiny flathead in there to adjust if you need. And then when you should be able to do this freely, but then once you pull this arm a little bit, you should be able to lock it up and not hear any dragging. You hear a little bit right now, but that's normal. So I'm gonna get this thing in, and then I'll get back to the springs. And once the shocks are in, we're basically about there. Just gotta get the flex line replaced. Still haven't done that yet, and we'll be able to get this car moving once again. That'll be fantastic. Well, it's like actually warm for the first time this year, which is great. We are back here in the garage. The paint removal went very poorly, and I swallowed my pride and called a professional. I called Mountaintop Powder Coating in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, and they removed the rest of my paint and powder coated the springs. They squeezed this in with another job that was black and got it back to me in like a pretty reasonable amount of time, all for reasonable price as well. So thank you, Mountaintop Powder Coating. So now that these are taken care of, we can get them on the new shock absorbers, or struts. Another issue I was having was I could not get this line to thread into this caliper. So what I did is I went on Amazon and I bought a tap set for like 15 bucks. I just kind of hand threaded one of them into there. It's a 3/8 24 thread, and that allowed me to thread my brake line in. So that was awesome too. So what this means is there's nothing stopping me from putting this back together and putting it back in this car. So I need to get to that. Oh yeah, also radius arms, got the bushings replaced. Borrowed the hydraulic press at work. Don't tell anybody though. No, it's fine. Didn't get this one in quite straight, and I know that's gonna really throw off the suspension articulation, you know, but I don't care. It's also not gonna do that. It's fine. Yeah, check it out. We got the 4 struts. They are KYB KG9122. You can get these for like 50-ish each on Amazon or even Rock Auto. And again, look at the really good job with the black powder coating there. And here is your struts. They each come with a thingy of hardware, and here's some instructions on how to get them to do the thing. So gonna get my spring compressors ready. The air compressor is charged up, and just put all 4 on. These are going to look dang good in that car, even though you'll never really be able to see them. Now we just have to wait and see how it goes getting them back in there. I can work on getting these things removed. I just tightened this one because it was loose before, if you recall. And what you can do with this is pull it back and find a grease zerk on the U-joint and give it some grease. So that's why I got this thing here. I'll just get all 4 of these because it's pretty easy to get to them right now. And they probably have, well, maybe been greased once or twice, but I don't think it's been greased very many times in its life. So let's get that taken care of. So here's a fun one. I had a heck of a time getting this nut off of this brake hose here. And surprise, surprise, it's a 15mm. Everything else on this car is, you know, standard. This is metric, the one metric thing I've found. So very difficult to get off, and as you can see, there's not much left on that brake line for thread, and especially compared to the new one. I'll show you the new one. I don't know how well the GoPro is going to pick it up, but there's actually threads on this thing and there's not many threads on that. So when I try to put this nut on that thing, it doesn't really want to go on there, which tells me that's probably going to rip up my threads. So I either need a tap or I need to find a new nut. I can't put that nut on as is, that's for dang sure. I really don't want to do that. So that's fun. But in other news, that side is all assembled, all back together. I'll do a little time-lapse / demonstration of how I get this side done, since there's better light. Guess there's no reason for me to wait anymore. Let's get it in the car. Well, all nuts are threaded. This thing is in. Just gotta reattach the parking brake, get these guys on. Never tightened this thing. Pretty happy about this, folks. It's pretty nice to have this back in the car. A few objectives today, now that it's light out again. I gotta get these reattached. I need to tighten this. I need to tighten these. Before I can do all of that, I need to try to reattach the hydraulic brake line, which might be a complete pain. I'm not sure yet. So I gotta go figure that out. Okay, so things have happened under here. I've got the parking brake reattached right here. And right here, you can see the cable there. Kind of squeezes those things together when you pull it. I actually had to redo the adjustment. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but yeah, right up in there, I had to redo this. This is your parking brake adjustment at the caliper level. Since I did this outside of the car and tied them with the wire, but the cable wants to sit a little bit tighter, so I had to undo those and loosen them so I could get the cable on here and then reset the tension. So I basically just did this until I felt resistance from the parking brake pads. Then after I felt that, I backed it off a turn or two and then put that safety wire in there. Yeah, the parking brake on this car did not work well at all prior to this whole thing happening. And one thing I noticed is there was no safety wire in there and no cotter pins, so those must have rusted out over the last 30 years and disappeared, and those screws that set the adjustment, they turn pretty easily, so I think they backed out. So I'm happy to have this properly set. Yeah, I could have played with the cable by the driver's seat, but mine is very rusty, so I did not want to do that. We've got our new flex line. Can't see it too well behind the parking brake cable, but there it is right there. I did end up shortening that nut so I'd have enough thread engagement with this. Didn't want to put this on getting dripped on by brake fluid and not have enough thread engagement, so I did shorten it with the flap disc. But right here, this nut was actually okay, so this one's fine, and it gets caught in the mount bracket right there, so I haven't tightened those nuts quite yet. So next big thing is going to be getting these radius arms into these mounts. They do not line up right now, so I think that what I'll have to do is maybe put the jack under the hub or something and try and get them in that way. So hopefully that goes okay. But yeah, basically I just have a few bolts to tighten, a few things to install, and I can get this car back on the ground and off of the stands. So I'm pretty excited about that. So like I had mentioned earlier, this guy needs to go back into that thing, and well, that's not a very good fit. So what you gotta do is jack this up real quick. And you do that until you've got a little bit of a play right here in your jack stand. So, and there, it fits right in. But it didn't go in that easily. I saw a video of some guy. What he did was he took a ratcheting strap, he put it around here, took it all the way to the front of the car, and then squeezed it together until the cage moved forward enough to where he was able to line this up. And I did, and I got mine lined up on the other side. It's already installed, but what I did instead was, you know, these are all still loose. I just hit with a hammer right here until I had enough space, and then I was able to hit this with a hammer as well and got it to line up pretty good. So that's how I got mine to work. Now at this point it becomes getting your safety thingy ready. That's gonna go right here and thread into about there. So I'll get that taken care of. And now, finally, we can tighten this one in here since we are in the loaded condition for the suspension. So just get your wrench in there. And now it's time to tighten all 8 of these, 4 on each side, and we can put the car down. Alright, check it out everyone. This car is sitting on the ground on its wheels, and it will roll slightly. I've got the front wheel chocked up, but you know, she's good to go. That car wouldn't do this before because of those calipers being locked up, so pretty thrilled. Looks real nice under there. You know, I didn't clean it, but you know, this car is going to be a runner, not a shower, so I don't really care about that. It is in good mechanical condition there now, which makes me pretty happy. So that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. In the next video, we're going to get this thing out of here, pull the engine back out, drop the front subframe, and take care of that. So hope you look forward to that one, and I'll see you in the next one.